What's going on today, guys? So I'm doing a quick video on the Hemi. I just got back my push rods from MMX Performance. Like I said in a previous video, maybe this will be addition to this video, but my before measurements but with zero lash is 6.765 and 8.0425. So the standard that I went with was an 8.1 and a 6.825. I guess I'm gonna find out today if those work. But yeah, I'm just gonna set you guys up and throw these in. Should be a really quick video, but thought you guys would like to see it. All right, so first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some just regular grease, put it on the tips of both of these guys, just because these are probably not gonna get a whole lot of oil to begin with. So I just got some regular wheel bearing grease. I'm gonna dip both ends in, and then we'll insert them and go down the line. Now I gotta remember which one's the longer one. I believe the exhaust. I could be wrong. Alright, so these guys are supposed to be torqued to 25 foot-pounds is what I believe I read. I believe you torque from the inside out. Now I probably tighten these past that, so I'm going to back them off a little bit and then torque them down. So I'm gonna try and finish up the rest of the Hemi. Most of the engine's complete. So not off video, I got the intake installed. I found out that the intake actually hit underneath the kind of right here where the little, I don't know what you call this, the peak of the timing cover goes. So I had to go to Modern Muscle Performance, I believe it is, the MMX, and get these spacer plates. It came with the Cometic gaskets and the bolts, and obviously the spacers. Space it up just enough that it's not going to interfere with the intake being bolted down. So that is one thing I had to do to make the Eagle heads work with the pre-Eagle block. But anyways, in this video today, I'm going to try and get as much of the odds and ends finished up as I can. So I've got the timing cover to install. I've got some fuel rails from Grams to install. Part number right there, obviously. I don't have injectors yet. I have the factory injectors, but I know that those won't work. So I'm just gonna bolt them up to the intake just so that I'm sick of things just laying around the shop, so I want to get things bolted on as best I can. So I've also got the rear main seal to install. I've got the front main seal to install. Obviously this is not going to be, I won't be putting this harmonic balancer on there as such for the final assembly, but I'm going to use it so that I can install the timing cover today. And besides that, I don't think there's much left on the engine side of things. Obviously there's going to be all sorts of things like wiring whenever I get to that point, but for now I'm gonna get to all the things I listed and we'll go from there. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do today is gonna be installing the timing cover seal or front main seal. The rubber goes towards the outside. I'm gonna use my socket that I used for my upper ball joints on my Dakota. It's as big as the biggest thing I've got, but I think it'll be just big enough that I can actually use it to pound this guy in. Before I do that, I think I'm going to put a little bit of oil on this seal so it slides a little easier without tearing. So let me grab some oil, or actually I got some WD here. And since there's a little dowel on this guy, I'm going to set it here so it's a flat surface now. It actually installs really nice and easy. So it's seated all the way on the lip here, so that's when you know that you're done. So when it's all the way seated, obviously it'll look like that once it's in. So now we can go ahead and move on to installing the seal here. And I don't know if there's a front or back. There is a difference. So one side's got two little ribs, the other side's got one. I believe the single goes towards the block. This goes into the timing cover, but I guess we should find out. I don't think that they've got the same holes on either side or the same pattern, so should only go on one way. Yeah, so that is the correct way. With the single rib, hopefully you guys can see this, the single rib going toward the block, the two ribs going into the timing cover. Now I don't know if this guy's supposed to be oiled before it gets put in there, but it seems to be going in okay. also seems to almost lock into place as it's going in. Alright, I think that's all installed. Once you're done, it should look something like that, obviously. I'm going to go over making sure that everything is pressed in all the way. Looks like it does twist in certain spots, and I think that might just be how the gasket is. One thing I didn't mention before, I did look at all the passages here and made sure that they were clear. Obviously, you don't want any obstructions in those. But I'm just making sure everything is pressed in nice and evenly. And obviously, once it gets bolted up, this kind of squishes out, this rubber kind of squishes out to actually make the seal anyways. So I don't know if it's super pertinent that you make it perfect, but I could be wrong here. But anyways, so now the timing cover is all ready to go. I'm gonna clean up this surface on this guy, just making sure I don't damage my new seal. Then we'll go over to the block and install this guy. I do not have a water pump at the moment, so I can't install it permanently, but I'll install it with as many bolts as I can, and it won't be fully installed to the block, but I think that'll be okay. Hopefully. All right, so I have an old water pump from my charger that I just threw on here so I could figure out which bolts went where. Seems like all of them, obviously I don't have the bolts that go straight to the timing cover, but I'll figure that out. But yeah, so there's two long ones, which obviously go where the longer bolts or the larger flanges are. And then all the rest of them are the exact same other length, so I'll pull two of them out. So there's two of them that are this length, and then quite a few that are this length. I just put the ones where the shorter flanges are, and then obviously those. And then I think actually this guy goes there. Yep. So then I have one extra. I don't know exactly where it goes because all the other holes are threaded. But I bought a kit that came with all these bolts. Not exactly positive where they go. Unless I'm missing something on somewhere. I guess I don't know. But I'm gonna mock it up here. This is a bad water pump, so I will replace it. But just so that I can tighten everything down and let the RTV and everything sit and cure, I'm gonna keep this one on there just so that it actually seals correctly. So, all right. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna flip this guy over. Hopefully I can flip it back around by myself since I am working by myself. But I need to take that oil pan off just so that I can actually seat this correctly and the rear main seal correctly, and then install the oil pan. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip this guy around. First, I'm gonna set something down because I know I'm gonna get oil everywhere. Oh, Jesus. Woo! Okay, so now I will take these guys off. Okay, so I got all the bolts out. Setting that down. Okay, so I can't remove it, obviously. So now I'll try and install that front timing cover. So it is just lightly installed on there. All right, so something that I noticed while trying to put this guy on here is that the stock harmonic balancer doesn't have a key like this aftermarket, well, who made this crank? The Compstar crankshaft. From what I'm reading, these guys are only rated up to about 6,000 RPM, and this motor may see more than that, so I'm actually not going to install this guy at all. I'll have to get a different harmonic balancer. But for now, I will try and use that guy as best I can to try and line up the timing cover so I can install it. But other than that, I'll just continue where I left off here. All right, so I had to take off the oil pump pickup tube and the gasket so I could actually get to the back here. I decided to try and install this off camera, I should say, because there's not much you can see. It's pretty self-explanatory. It comes with a little plastic sleeve, which I have lost now. But basically, you just line up the plastic sleeve on this. You push this all the way around evenly. But in order for me to install this correctly, I have to get some RTV in between these gaps here. So I had to get all the oil pan and pickup tube and windage tray off so that I can then install the RTV. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to install the RTV back here, tighten down the bolts on the back here, and then I'm also going to see if I can't loosely install the timing cover, put a few dabs of RTV on that, then place the oil pan and gasket on there, see if that might work a little better. I don't know. This is the first time I've done it, so this could be completely wrong and I could have a whole bunch of leaks, but I guess I will find that out. So all right, so I got the timing cover on, the rear main seal on, rear main seal, oil pan, all torqued down. I torqued all these to 21 foot-pounds is what I found. Obviously I followed some sort of pattern, probably not the right one. Obviously, do what you want to on your motor. This is what I did on my motor. Yeah, so now I will move on to figuring out these fuel rails. First, I'll talk about them a little bit. So these are the Graham's fuel rails. They didn't come with any fittings at all. The only thing that it did come with was the hardware for the brackets. These guys here. So all these fittings I had to purchase outside of this. I'm not even quite sure where I got them all, but these are dash 8 ORB fittings on either end. I've just got 90s on the front, and then I've got one of them capped off. That'll be on the driver's side, and then this one is going to be the feed, so that's on the passenger side. So I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the brackets here, so then we can install the fuel rails on here, so then I can get a rough estimate for how long I got to cut these, what am I trying to say here? The hose, fuel hose, right here. So this is the PTF or PFET or whatever it's called. the Teflon stuff that's rated for E85. You gotta have special fittings for that. So these have a ferrule on the inside that goes in between the plastic and the nylon. So whenever you are ordering your fittings, if you're doing E85 stuff, make sure you have the right hose and the right fittings. But anyways, I'm gonna get on to installing the brackets on those and getting those installed on the motor. I believe these can be installed either facing down or facing up, depending on your injector length. I don't know exactly what my injector length is gonna be, so I'm just gonna install them this way for now. Yeah, that seems right. All right, I was wrong. So there is a way that they are installed. They're installed with the tab going up, so they're a little, so they'll be more low profile. So that's what these little cutouts are for, apparently. I don't know if you could technically install them the other way, but I'm gonna install mine all this way. All right, so there the brackets are. Now I'll move you guys over to look at the motor. Hopefully you guys can see it. Wrong side. This is going to be on this side here. This is going to be on this side. And it didn't come with any hardware for the to actually mount it to the intake, so I'm guessing I got to use my old hardware. Kind of sucks, but not the end of the world. So it's these ugly little studs. It does come with some little washers, and I wonder if these could be used as a little bit of a spacer between these and these, but I guess I don't know. So all right, so now I'll bring you guys in. So like I said, there's those little washers there. I'm assuming they could probably be used as a spacer, but I don't know. But now that I've got them all bolted on, now I can measure my hose and cut that and start making that. So we're gonna start on that. All right, so you saw I made this hose here. It's actually quite a bit easier with this, I don't know what the heck they call them, the E85 hose, than the other stuff, because you don't got to deal with any sort of barb or anything, and you don't got to worry about this, the nylon actually sealing anything. It's all the plastic. So got that now. Should bolt up correctly. We'll see if I cut it way too long or way too short. like I cut it way too long. Might be even make the dang thing to start. Well, that sucks. So I cut that thing way too long, but oh well. I think it'll still look fine. Hopefully, figure something out here. Might redo this, but anyways, you get the gist. That's pretty much all I'm gonna do today. Like I said, we got the timing cover installed, the rear main seal installed, the oil pan installed, and the fuel rails installed. There's not a whole lot left to do on this motor. Obviously, I got to get a new water pump. Got to get injectors, things like that, miscellaneous stuff. But for the most part, it is complete. Now I've got to get stuff for my transmission, which I actually don't know if I've shown you guys yet, but I did actually purchase one. I ordered a TKX, the part number there. It's a 5-speed. It's the, I guess I don't know the ratios. I can go into that further detail in a future video, but I bought it as a kit that came with the bell housing, the inspection cover, some miscellaneous hardware for things if you were to be bolting this transmission to like a small block, like a 318, 360, things like that. So it comes with like an old school boot style. With this guy, I'm going to be running a hydraulic, like internal slave, kind of how the Hemis originally came, but that's all going to be detailed in a future video. But yeah, I guess that's probably going to do it for the Hemi build for quite some time until I get all the rest of my stuff. And at that point, we might be close enough to installing it in the truck that I might just make that all in video. But anyways, I'm going to end it there, guys. If you liked the video, please like the video and consider subscribing.